Defense also dominated the game in Buffalo, where the Bills and the Houston Oilers wrestled with each other in a carnival of fumbles, bumbles, and penalties. This 19-yard charge by Houston's Don Hardiman was the only touchdown of the game, but it was all the Oilers needed to win. My offense wasn't that good, said Houston's Bum Phillips, but my defense was stronger than cow's breath. Although Houston is best known for its ability to stop the running game, they applied enough pressure on Buffalo's quarterback Gary Morangi to curtail the Bills' passing attack. Last season, Buffalo led the AFC in both passing and running. Today, they could do little of either. Houston's linebackers played an aggressive, blitzing defense on running situations, and they held O.J. Simpson to a paltry 38 yards rushing, Simpson's lowest output in 2.5 years. Houston edged the Bills 13-3. And their defense has not given up a touchdown thus far this season. While in Tampa Bay, there was another fumbler. And if O.J. Simpson doesn't pay his electric bill pretty soon, his power could stay shut off. O.J.'s line is known as the Electric Company, and whether planned or unplanned, they left the juice in the dark with a mere 39 yards on 20 attempts, the third poor performance in a row for O.J. But while the improving Bucs closed the roads, they couldn't shut down the airways as Joe Ferguson hit Reuben Gant for 1 score. The Bucs put 9 points up on 3 field goals, but Ferguson, the number 81, Bob Chandler, iced the Bills' first win of the year, 14-9. It was fumbles, a mere shadow of what they once were. The Kansas City Chiefs have yet to win a football game this season. And though Mike Livingston's offense has tallied a respectable 9 touchdowns, the young Chief defense has completely nullified the offense's efforts, surrendering more yardage than any team in football. Through 4 games, the Chiefs have allowed an incredible 131 points. Last Sunday in Buffalo's Rich Stadium, Bill quarterback Joe Ferguson and wide receiver Bob Chandler 3 times emptied sustained drives into Kansas City's end zone as Buffalo's versatile offensive machine approached its 1975 form. O.J. Simpson and newly installed fullback Jeff Kinney each contributed 100-plus yards to Buffalo's offensive effort. But despite their offensive firepower, the Bills' inexperienced secondary continues to plague Buffalo's team effort as Kansas City quarterback struck for 321 yards. Lackadaisical play in Buffalo's secondary often turns apparent mismatches into close football games. But despite a poor overall effort, the Bills' defense forced 6 turnovers, including this one on the game's final offensive play. Tony Green traveled the length of the football field and then some, 101 yards, as Buffalo buried the Chiefs 50-17. A rousing victory for the awakening Bills, and indeed, they had earned a well-deserved rest. When the Buffalo Bills checked into Shea Stadium last Sunday, there's no way they could have been ready for the rude greeting they received. Wide receiver Bob Chandler was left to count up his body parts, while the rapidly improving Jet defense gave O.J. Simpson another rough afternoon. 15 carries for just 53 total yards. But the Bills played some defense too, holding the once potent Jet passing game to just 7 completions in 22 attempts. Number 14, Alabama rookie Richard Todd, was 4 for 11 on the day, while another former Alabama quarterback was just 3 for 11, including his very first touchdown pass of the season, which put New York ahead 14-0 at the half. But with just 4 minutes left in the game, a Buffalo rookie defensive back named Keith Moody tied it up for the Bills. For a while, it seemed that all the winless Jets had needed was to get back home. But Keith Moody almost ruined a beautiful homecoming for the New Yorkers. Almost, but not quite. Because with just 48 seconds left on the clock, place kicker Pat Leahy stepped into the ball from 38 yards away. It wasn't the Super Bowl, but for rookie head coach Lou Holtz and his New York Jets, it was victory number 1. And therefore, a beautiful and entirely unforgettable experience. Buffalo, new head coach Jim Ringo looked for help anywhere he could get it. And the first place he found it was way downfield, as a long Joe Ferguson pass caught up with last year's NFL rushing champion O.J. Simpson in the Baltimore Colts end zone. Simpson's touchdown gave Buffalo the lead 13-10 in the second quarter, but the Bills were unable to score again, due in good part to the ferocious Baltimore sack pack. After 3 quarters, Burt Jones and company led by only 17-13. But in the fourth period, the Colts pulled away from the slumping Bills and padded their victory margin to a convincing 31-13. For the Colts, it was another joyful fourth period on the way to an apparent postseason playoff position. For Coach Jim Ringo and the Bills, it's back to the old drawing board. As Ringo said after the game, we still have some people who have to understand that football is a game you play for 4 quarters. At Orchard Park, the Bills and Patriots needed a fresh supply of sure grip as 11 fumbles turned both offenses sour. When there was continuity, quarterback Steve Grogan's rollout offense mystified the undermanned Bills. The threat of silky smooth receivers like number 81 Russ Francis make defenses respect Grogan's arm, but in effect pave the way for the planned runs that make the spindly general so doubly dangerous. In this disaster of a season for Buffalo, the headlines and statistics still belong to O.J. Simpson, whose victories over defenses are empty and Pyrrhic and muddied by a river of Buffalo defeats. Simpson scored twice against the Patriots, but the Bills lost 26-22. The Jets aren't number 1 yet either, but with new faces like number 14 Richard Todd and number 45 Louis Giamona, New York's football outlook improves a bit each week. Still, the Jets have scored fewer points than any team in football. So with their offense in transition, New York has discovered new avenues to the end zone. Last Sunday, for the second time this season, the Jets beat the Bills. But from here on in, for both teams, it's all uphill. Elsewhere in Buffalo last week, no titles were won. In fact, there occurred some of the strangest looking plays of the season. This end zone recovery gave the Bills their only touchdown, while San Diego's Dan Fouts bombed away to Charlie Joyner, the NFL leader in receiving yardage, with 970. The Chargers won their first in 5 games, and in so doing, handed the Bills their 7th consecutive loss in Buffalo's longest season in several years. There were no playoff berths at stake in Detroit. It was merely another episode in the Lions' history of memorable Thanksgiving Day games. But even old veteran Lions could not remember anything like this. But the league's leading passer regained his footing, and Greg Landry proceeded to dismantle the Buffalo secondary with 2 touchdown passes, both of which went to rookie tight end David Hill. David Hill, Detroit's king of swing, creator of a newfangled end zone thing. Detroit scored 27 points, then turned matters over to their league-leading defenders, who planned to dine on an assortment of beef, fowl, and superstar running backs. But the Lions found the beverage a little tough to digest. By the time he had finished, O.J. Simpson had accomplished the following things. He had rushed for more than 200 yards in a single game for the 5th time in his career, a new NFL record. He eclipsed the 1,000-yard rushing mark for the 5th consecutive season, while taking over the AFC rushing lead. And he broke his own NFL record for most yards rushing in a single game. Simpson finished with 273 yards. Lost in the glitter of Simpson's record-breaking performance was Detroit's 6th victory. But the hour certainly belonged to Simpson, possibly the best ever to run with a football. Naturally, the object of the Miami Dolphin defense was to stop O.J. Simpson. They failed miserably as the incomparable one rushed for 203 yards, including this 75-yard touchdown burn. While O.J. rocketed around like a phantom jet, the Buffalo Bill defense resembled a jumbo cargo plane in a 60-minute holding pattern. Airborne, the Dolphins scored easily and often and rolled up 45 points. The real thorn in Buffalo's hoofs was number 86, Fast Freddie Sullivan, the Dolphins' wide receiver, return specialist, and ICBM, who scored 3 long-range touchdowns. The first score came on a 79-yard punt return. The second resulted from a Hail Mary pass by Don Strock that ended quite righteously in the heavenly hands of Sullivan. To document his status as a bona fide triple threat, Sullivan's last score came as a runner when a double reverse climaxed at a 59-yard touchdown. While Fast Freddy's bravura performance may have temporarily saved Don Shula from his first... You know, if looks didn't lie, you just might think Ted Marchibroda's team hadn't won a game all season. But last week in Baltimore, the Buffalo Bills gave the playoff-bound Colts only one moment of genuine concern. O.J. Simpson's 44-yard touchdown highlighted yet another spectacular performance for the Juice, who cruised to a 4th NFL rushing title in 5 seasons. The rest of the afternoon belonged to the man with the strongest arm in football. Bert Burt Jones and Roger Carr rank as pro football's finest long ball combination. It seems they could run this play in street clothes. The Jones-Carr connection typifies Baltimore's multifaceted air game, a diverse attack whose receivers will travel anywhere with a Burt Jones pass. But no matter where success leads them, the Colt air game works. Roger Carr, Glenn Doughty, and tight end Raymond Chester, number 87, can penetrate any defense and have the credentials to prove it. This week, the Colts' league-leading offense challenges pro football's finest defense in the steel curtain. Last year, Pittsburgh brushed the Colts aside en route to the Super Bowl. This year, things may be different.